Greetings, my excellent friend. Welcome to the Heavy Metal History Report.
Ladies and gentlemen, my guest today goes by the Grim One, the Necrosexual. Welcome to the Heavy Metal History Podcast.
Sexual!
Woo! I think my ears bled a little bit from that one.
How the hell are you, Dustin?
I'm good. How are you? Should I call you Necro? Should I call you Mr. Sexual? Necrosexual?
His grimness.
Grim sex.
I'm glad that we finally got a chance to have this necrosexual encounter happen.
Yeah, I'm feeling, like the waves of death even over the internet. Like you just exude it. Well, let's. We're not going to go into the deep stuff yet, but let's say.
Oh, we're going deep right away, baby.
Oh, you want to go deep? Okay, all right. So when did you come to terms with your necrosexuality? I mean, when did you figure this out for yourself?
I just feel like I was born this way, Dustin. From the cradle to the grave. I just came out wearing my face paint, my war paint. And as soon as I could get on my own two legs, I was ready to raise hell and start thrashing around. But likewise, when I listened to Rain and Blood the first time, that really gave me a throbbing heavy metal hard-on. So that was when I went from a necro boy into a man. And from then on, the rest is history.
So you would say Raining Blood definitely just engorged that necro dick as hard as possible.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's one album to make you feel a little extra meat between your legs, it's that one. I mean, from start to finish. Woo!
Yeah, that's it's funny because I think a lot of people try to, play the poser card, if you will, and say that like Show No Mercy is like, oh man, that's the Slayer album, but it's their first
and that's a
album.
great one.
It is, but
that's a great one too.
It's not
yeah,
Rain and Blood.
Yeah, everyone remembers their first. So for me, it was Rain and Blood. But Slayer is one of those bands that there are many, many great albums, and each one is truly special in its own way.
That's true. I've covered a few of them, like on my history episodes, and I think this year. So I did Diabolus and Musica because I covered 1998.
Yeah.
And then this one I'm doing 1994, and I think that's Divine Intervention, maybe.
Indeed. That's Divine Intervention.
I'm looking forward to delving to that one, especially like.
Hells yes.
What do you think about them? Finally hanging up the band. Well,
I mean, they're hanging up their. It seems like they're not hanging it up. I mean, they just announced another massive tour. So you can't blame them for trying to cash in on everything.
Of course.
And it is, Tom Araya is an older dude with a family. It ain't easy being grim for 30, 40 years. So you can't blame them for wanting to call it quits. I think that a lot of people would agree a big part of that band died with Jeff.
Yeah. Yep.
But I feel like it's better to go out on a high note. So if this really is the whole thing, although I think they're going to milk it and they're probably still going to get the itch and do some, festival things. Or maybe they'll be like Ministry, whose farewell tour, I believe it was the Adios Motherfucker tour. I actually went to that show in 2008, and here we are, 11 years later, they're still going strong. So maybe it's really, we'll see. But if it is the end, everyone has their number, so.
Yeah, I feel like with bands like that have been around since basically the beginning of the genre, at this point, man, they have the rights to do whatever they want. Like, if they want to call it quits for a little bit, then that's fine. Like, you could still go back and listen to the records whenever you want. It's not like those are going to just magically disappear because they're not going to tour or whatever. I mean, they got lives to live too. But yeah, no, they are such that integral part of history, and they gave you your first boner, so that's kind of like
really. So that's not to be taken lightly.
Yeah, do you think you'll start suffering from a little bit of no more boners now that they're not going to be around? Like, do you just need it?
That definitely won't be a problem. Let me tell you.
Oh man. I personally, the way I get my necrosexual thrills is I like to watch porn of dead porn stars. They're not dead in the porn, but they've since passed away, and gives me that little thrill of false necrophilia, I suppose.
Yeah. There you go. You're discovering. It sounds like you're inner freak. So just keep running with it. Keep exploring. If you're gonna run off to a graveyard in the middle of the night for some action, I say you can be a gentleman and a pervert. Get a Ouija board out. Establish consent with the Ouija board, and then knock your socks off.
That is the important part. Yeah.
Make sure it points to yes. Otherwise, you gotta kiss a lot of frogs sometimes, but it'll be worth it.
Oh man, yeah. So I've seen how your look has changed over the years, and
yes.
I feel like you are in prime necrosexuality right now. I mean, your hair is just this flowing mane. Finally,
yes,
you're just more jacked than you were like a few years back.
Well, thank you. You can't fault a man for having good taste in other men. But yeah, it's there's a lot of I take a lot of inspiration from Bob Ross, especially his I call them unhappy little accidents, but that pretty much happens every time I put on my makeup. I mess something up, and then I have a new look essentially. So that's kind of an ever evolving thing. And I got to give credit with the newest visual chapter. I live with a drag queen who also designed some of my necro garments. So it takes something so fabulous to come up with something so grim.
Yeah, no, that's perfect.
Yeah,
especially those red and black striped pants you wear.
Oh yes,
they're almost pirate pants, but they're just a little too tight.
If there were pirates in hell, that's what they would look like.
Oh man, yeah. So out of all the interviews you've done, there's one, and it's funny because you just reposted about it. And it was the Anvil one.
Oh boy, those Canucks.
So it looked like Rob did not know what the fuck was going on, and he was
in all fairness, that usually is the case. but them especially, they were great sports though. They were very gracious victims.
So when you set these up, like, are you just show up, obviously full makeup. You're already there. Yeah. You're just screeching your highs as much as you can. And what do people initially make of that when they hear it and see it, and they're just like, whoa, what the fuck did I just get myself into?
Usually I would say if we're lucky, that's the cameras are already rolling by that point, which is also why I think the Anvil interview is a gem that has endured over the years, because you can tell from the start that they were not expecting the necrosexual encounter that was before them. And besides that, it's just another day at the office. There you got a job to do. I'm here to deliver some hard-hitting music journalism, so you got to be a little bit professional and let them know that we're there on an official business, and and then we conduct ourselves talking shop. So it can be a wonderful experience. I spoke with Abbott, or as he says, Abbott.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, and he was spooked. He actually walked out the first time that we rolled camera, because I said, "This is the things you don't see behind the scenes." But I said, "This is a man whose music is so grim and frostbitten, he makes my nipples hard." And then he was like, "Excuse me," and just got up and walked away. So, but he was cool because after we kind of talked him off the ledge, he was like, "All right, come back after the show and I'll be more relaxed," and he was. So so that was pretty awesome. So it's always a learning experience, and some of them like it, some of them get me, and some of them don't.
Yeah, I think it's that fine line where like a lot of guys take metal and everything in interviews like a little too seriously, but having something that like pokes fun at a little bit more, it's a nice change of pace, man. I mean, everything can't be so like serious all the time. And
I take myself very, very.
No, seriously. I know. No, you do. You're very serious.
Clearly,
I see it, in every interview. I mean, you make sure your makeup is on point, your suit is on point.
Yeah.
There's nothing you don't do without full seriousness.
You see some of these, you know, journalist jabronis, and it sounds like they're writing a 4th grade homework assignment, and these musicians have to just answer the same questions over and over again, and and they're not there because they want to. They're there because they have to promote it a lot of the time.
Yep.
Although some of them do like to talk, you know, some for various reasons, but so I think that it's helpful to have a change in pace, and by the task before me, I take on the burden of often being the true star of the show. So it's, I think, a weight off their shoulders because they can kick back and let a real professional do the work.
Yeah, it's, you know, that's something I've kind of learned too. Well, I mean, I already knew this a little bit, but like, you know, when I started this thing, you know, I know I'm like kind of pseudo interviewing you, I guess, but you know, the thing I like to do is like not ask those same typical questions that people get asked over and over and over again, because it's like you can tell they check out immediately when they get asked those same things.
Yes.
So it's like trying to figure out ways to not do that. It's been a challenge sometimes, man, because you can tell when people like don't really give a shit and they just want to like get it over with. But those guys that do want to talk, man, they usually end up giving you like some pretty solid stuff. You know, once you're like able to like give them an I guess unnatural question that they're not used to.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I mean, it's always great when you have a band that you've been playing with on the regular for almost 3 years and a new album, and then they ask you about YouTube videos that came out in 2013. Tables have turned.
They did turn. You turned them well. Well, I mean,
but yes, I'm enjoying this, this pseudo interview. It's always, it's always flattering to hear from people that sort of get it, or at least, know a good dumpster fire when they see one on the side of the road to take a picture of it. Well,
the good thing is I'm not going to ask entirely about all the YouTube videos, because I do actually want to talk about your record you did.
Yes.
But in a minute, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
I mean, it's been a good time on YouTube videos. I will say, my favorite person that I did speak to is Mille Petroza from Creator. He totally got it for, you think that for German music, they can come off as stern.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a very mellow dude and funny guy. And then likewise, Gary Holt from Exodus and Slayer now. That was also a good one. I need to reshare that. That's from, I was a super baby necro back then. I didn't have any hair when I interviewed Gary Holt, but that was another favorite of mine.
Yeah, Gary, I've seen a few interviews with him, and he seems like a funny ass dude.
Yeah,
it's always nice.
Super mellow, was weird. Obviously, was weirded out, but did a good job of not walking out of the interview. So he was a very good sport. So hopefully, when he sees me again one of these days, he will see a friend in the Necrosexual.
I thought you guys are more than friends. Aren't you more than friends with everybody? You seduce them. You take like a lock of their hair, don't you? You do that, right?
Absorb a little bit of their power.
Yeah. That's how you get your necrosexual energies, man. You
can't kiss and tell.
Yeah, that's fair. I will say two of my favorites.
Yeah.
Definitely the one with I think it was Liam from Dillinger, or was it Ben?
Maybe Kevin. Like when I went to his house.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, it was Kevin. I forget. Yeah, because you guys were in the hot tub together, right?
Yes, the hot tub of doom. Yes, I haven't been back since that day.
Dude, it looked cold as shit out there, and I was like, how are you guys? I mean, I know it's a hot tub, but you're just shirtless.
It wasn't that hot.
Man, I guess you're just like made of grim frost anyways, so it's like being out in that is that's another day for you.
If you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah, and the other one was Trevor from Obituary.
Yes.
One of the first tours I ever did was with Obituary, and he is like one of the funniest dudes. And that was like, just watching that, I was like, yeah, man, that's Trevor, all through and through right there.
Yeah.
Fucking.
Yeah, crack smoking, crazy motherfucker, as he said. But no, super cool dude. Just sometimes you want to just hang out and not interview and just drink beer. But
yes,
I had to deliver the hard hitting journalism. So yeah, cool dude. Who were you touring with that you were with Obituary, or what were you doing that you were on tour?
I did merch for a band called Carnifex for like 5 years.
Okay.
And that was like the first big tour that we did. It was with Obituary and Unleashed for like a month and a half. It was like 2008, so it was 2008. Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yes. Well, we all know that the merch man gets all the chicks.
Oof. You don't kiss and tell, remember?
Right, exactly.
I see my share of titties, though. I will say that.
Yeah. Well, female titties. That's when it's,
No, I meant man tits.
Right.
Yeah. Shirtless dudes in a van every night. Just
and the obituary. That's when you call when all the dudes take their shirts off at obituary shows.
Oh, damn it! I wish I thought of that. So, changing gears here. How does one, Mr. Necrosexual, spot a poser in the wild?
You just have your poser sense, like Spider-Man has his Spidey sense, and the Necro has his poser sense. And sure enough, before you know it, it's like, oh, my poser sense is tingling. What is that? Oh, a ghost song that I hear, or you see, just turn around the corner and then you see, I don't know, fucking nail shirts walking around or something. But it's you have to make fun. You can't help but just laugh, and the posers are everywhere, so you just kind of have to. Come to terms with it however way you can, but there are many. So
now, is it a poser thing to wear the shirt of the band you're seeing at their show?
I mean, I've done that. I've totally done that. Sometimes I've bought the shirt and I don't want to carry it around, so
you put it on.
I think it's really about just who the band is.
It's fair. That is fair. So all right, this is gonna be fun here. I know you're a proponent, or at least you used to be. I know that might have changed, but the Franzia.
Yes, Franzia.
Now, I have a list of all the Franzias here.
Yeah.
And let's go down them and give them a necrosexual rating.
Indeed, yes. I'm an expert on the fine wine, the world's most brutal wine.
Oh man, laced with
demon
arsenic.
Queen that rules my heart. Yes, the poser murdering arsenic. So, I've endured many heavy metal hangovers from the wench known as Franzia.
Whew, you ever play slap the bag with one of those?
I'm slapping it right now, baby.
All right.
You slap the bag and then it becomes a water pillow.
Oh man, you're not wrong there. It definitely does.
That's how you recycle in hell.
So the first one I have here. Franzia Sunset Blush.
I mean, the blush, I don't... You get crushed by the blush. I don't fuck with any sweet wine. So the sun has set on that flavor. I walked right past that.
So that's a no-go. It's a done.
That's a no-go. That's 0 stars. I mean, maybe if there was some sort of terrible, apocalyptic situation and I was in the last, liquor store on Earth that wasn't infested by, zombies... and I see the last of the fine box wines and all that they have is Sunset Blush, then maybe I would, but I would probably just just let myself be thermonuclear carnivore food at that point.
Or let's say, for instance, somebody gave you a choice of wearing an Amir shirt for a year.
Oh Lord.
Or having to drink this wine.
Do people even remember that band? They were here and gone real fast. But then I guess I would have to crush the blush. But it would not be an enjoyable. It would be even less enjoyable than it normally is to drink Franzia. So that's my judgment.
Every man has his limits.
Yes.
All right, Franzia Chillable Red.
Chillable Dead.
Chillable Dead.
That's what I call it. Chillable Dead on red. I mean, it is chillable. It's also, it's good because you can keep it at graveyard temperature, put it on ice a little bit, but it's still a bit too sweet for me. So I will give that, if we're out of 10 stars, I'll give that 3 out of 10 inverted crosses.
Okay. 3 inverted crosses. Got it.
Yeah.
All right. Franzia Crisp White.
Crisp White. crisp white. It's sort of something, one of those. I like some white wine. If it's not too sugary, I will give that one 5 out of 10 inverted crosses.
Middle of the road.
It's crisp. Middle of the road. Again, it's not Sunset Blush, but it ain't, some of the other finer flavors that we're going to be getting to, as I'm sure you know.
I mean, I have a feeling you're going to not enjoy this next one because it's Franzia Pink Moscato.
Oh, Moscato. I say natto from Moscato. I don't think that I don't think I would feed Moscato to like stray cats in my alley. It just seems like a very unfortunate circumstance. So I think I'm going to give that one a -3.
Yeah, that is a pretty basic white girl wine right there.
It is. If you're a better person than me if you drink that, or maybe a deader person than me.
Deader, yeah. All right, Franzia White Merlot.
White Merlot, interesting. That's a new one. That is unbeknownst to me. Ooh. So, I mean, I like Merlot. I like white wine. What could go wrong? I'll give that a 6 out of 10 inverted crosses.
Yeah, I feel like it couldn't be that bad, right?
I mean, it's Franzia, so, I mean, bad becomes a matter of subjectiveness at that point.
Yeah. I think, it's funny. I'm going to take a break from this list for a second to regale you with a story of Franzia.
Regale me.
Let's see. The very first tour I did, we were staying in Portland, Oregon, I believe, and the only thing they had to drink was some Franzia. I forget what flavor it was, but it was definitely one of the darker ones. And I was not a big wine drinker. I didn't understand how much more alcoholic wine was compared to beer. So I was just slamming these down like nothing,
You paid the price.
Oh, man. I vomited all over this person's sink that let us stay in their house and was just raging and then just passed out immediately after I threw a ball in their sink.
Was it one of those sinks that's like a half dome, so it like sprays back up at you?
I don't remember. That's the other thing is like...
I'm sure there were a lot you don't remember from that night.
Yeah.
That's a fair assessment. But yeah, that sounds about right.
It was all told to me secondhand, blackout, throw up, sink. I was like, I guess that sounds about right.
Yeah.
All right, what do we got next? We got Franzia Pinot Grigio.
Pinot Grigio, it's simple. It hits the spot. I enjoy listening to some Phil Collins and some Pinot Grigio. So that's a classy drink. It's when you're really feeling like a Necro gentleman. So I'll give that 7 out of 10 stars.
Now, where do you fall in the Phil Collins, Huey Lewis, and the News? Do you prefer one over the other, or are you cool with both?
Team Collins on that one.
All right.
I mean, they're both. It's hip to be grim. So
yes.
Yeah.
I think I fall more on the Huey Lewis side myself.
I will give one obscure Necro fact that I don't share mostly for being embarrassed. But my true first concert, in that it wasn't, I was not there on my own will, but I was with my aunt and uncle, and they made a date of it with me. They took me to see Huey Lewis and the News in Joan Beach when I was like 9 years old. So that was. Oh wait, no, that was Chicago. Never mind. Never mind.
That's pretty cool.
Same thing, but all right. So maybe not, but yeah, definitely team Phil Collins.
Fair enough. He is a magnificent drummer.
No, those drum fills and In the Air Tonight, baby. That was how I rang in my New Year last year. It was so cold. It was too cold even for the Necrosexual, so I just stayed in and played that song at midnight when the drum fills kicked in.
Oh, that was like your ball drop? Was those drum fills?
Oh, it wasn't like my ball drop. It did make my balls drop.
Ooh. It took you a long time. I mean,
in all the right ways. I mean, it's just, that's how you know it's beautiful, truly brutal music, and that it'll make you experience puberty again right then and there.
Yeah, I guess going through puberty twice is not something many people can say they've done.
Yes.
You are like a man that science should study, I think.
The grim sciences.
Yes. Let's see, what do we got next? Franzia Refreshing White.
Refreshing. If you're a cadaver that needs to be freshly lubricated, maybe, but I don't mess with that. I stick with the Pinot Grigio or the Chardonnay, so I'm going to give that 4 out of 10 inverted crosses.
All right. So next we got the Franzia White Zinfandel.
White Zinfandel, ugh. Ugh, that could be playing with the devil, I call that one. So it can hit the spot, but if you drink too much Zinfandel, you end up in Zinfand hell, puking your brains out like you did, I'm sure. So I'll give that a 5, middle of the road.
All right. Zinfandel doesn't sound too good.
Zinfandel in hell, yes.
All right, we got Franzia Mountain Burgundy.
Mountain Burgundy for the climbing those mountains of might, huh? Boy, that one. In Burgundies, it's good if you're eating like steak. It's better if the steak's been marinating and absorbing the heat from your loins, as I often like to do first. So it has that extra earthy feeling, when you put it on the grill, from the freshly paired smegma. So that can hit the spot, but I do like some Burgundy, so I'll give that a 6 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah, I think. Do you do any special marination with your meat besides that? You got
to beat your meat. I beat the meat
obviously
with my own fists. I really give it a pounding, and then you just got to let it absorb the natural body heat. And like I said, it'll taste a little bit extra earthy, a little bit more sexual. And,
you leave the blood in, right?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Rare, baby.
Yeah. All right, Franzia White Grenache.
Grenache. That sounds like a chocolate.
It does.
Yeah, you're really breaking out the obscure stuff. I'm glad that you did your research for this interview. So that one it sounds like something you have after dessert, which means I'm not a fan. So I'm going to give that 3 out of 10 inverted crosses.
All right, Franzia Mountain Rhine.
Mountain Rhine. Wow, I had no idea Franzia had their mountain series. I don't even. Was that like a white wine?
It is. Yep, that's a white Rhine.
Yeah.
Jesus.
It sounds like something that has way too much sugar that would, cause me to enter a crazed state of panic, and wake up 18 hours later with a throbbing headache and too much Popeye's chicken next to my bed, or whatever dirt pile I have collapsed on. So I'm going to give that 2 out of 10 stars.
Okay. All right, so we got the Franzia Chianti.
Chianti. Well, I gotta think of that scene in Silence of the Lambs when he talks about eating the guy's, I think, liver with a side of Chianti and fava beans. So
yes.
That always makes me appetite. It really gets me in the mood for a good meal. So I'll give that 8 out of 10 inverted crosses.
Ooh, very, very nice. Okay. Now, I think I got... Oh, shit. I think that might be it.
That might be. There's a couple...
Oh no! Here we go. Yeah, we got the basics here. So we got the Franzia Chardonnay.
There we go. Nothing basic about that. I mean, that is a party in a box that everyone's invited to. But I'm gonna be the doorman, and I'm actually also gonna be the only person at that party because I don't share. So that is 10 out of 10 inverted crosses.
Oh, so you prefer the Chardonnay?
I mean, I don't prefer it, but I'm just saying.
But it's a 10.
You give me a box of Necrosexual approved Franzia Chardonnay, it's going to be party town.
All right. Franzia, I think this is the last one, the Cabernet Sauvignon.
I mean, there's other ones, but we might be here all night talking about all the different varietals of Franzia. But Cabernet Sauvignon, that's another, you save the best for last, along with, Merlot. Do they make a Pinot Noir? I guess not.
I did not see a Pinot Noir. That kind of got me too.
There is there's sangria. I don't fuck with the Franzia sangria. That's again very sugary. There's fruity red blend. Again, that's very sugary. So I just don't want to wake up with a leg missing or anything from all the sugar. And then the one that I've also enjoyed is called the dark red blend, which comes in a black box, so it's extra brutal. But in terms of the Cabernet Sauvignon, it's all right. It's not quite as in high regard in my book as the Merlot or the Chardonnay. I'll give that a pretty solid 7 out of 10 inverted crosses, and those are the Necrosexual's very short list of Franzia that you should avoid or drink.
Real hard-hitting stuff. I mean, people need to know about this, man. I mean, there are levels to the Franzia game.
Yes.
It's important. And I mean, who better to tell us than the master of Franzia himself, the connoisseur.
The Franzia game, yes. It's a game many play and all will lose.
I mean, it's a game that you play and you might lose, but it's worth it in the end.
Sure. We might argue with that.
Okay. So I do want to talk about the album that you put out.
Indeed.
So
the grim one.
Yeah, let's start with how the idea of it came about. Like, who did you kind of mass together for the band? How did you start writing it? What made you want to start writing it? All that stuff.
So, I mean, again, I'm very much sorry about that. I'm very much a one-man army. I've played music since I was 10, played bass since I was 10. I play guitar and bass on the album, vocals. So in terms of the musical incarnation, that was always something that an avenue toward world domination. Figure I'd get in the music industry, make my millions in the music industry. And it's been going great. So, but I mean, it was, and also it was a duty, a sense of duty I felt calling me, because there was just such wimpy music and just not a lot of old school 80s inspired, kind of black metal, thrash metal. It just seemed like there's a lack of that. It's in a lot of ways it's making a comeback, but I do think I have my own very special sauce that I put on that style of music, and my own spin on it as well. So the band came together. I started writing songs potentially as a one-man band in like 2013, and then we had our first show in 2014, and with just various members and drummers flaking out and the usual stuff. It took a while, but I joined forces with an old friend who I met in the trenches of the most brutal place on earth, which is at the Stone Bar Inn in Snydersville, Pennsylvania, in the kitchen staff. Anthony Gabriel, a sous chef at the time, and I was the pastry specialist. I put a little bit of extra whipped cream in all the desserts, if you know what I mean. So we met in the restaurant industry years ago, like 15 years ago, and then we finally just started jamming out on this evil fucking music, and the rest is history. So we released the Grim One album. It was February, so it's almost exactly a year ago.
Yeah, it's crazy. I realized that too, and I was like, damn, has it been a year already?
Time flies when you're in hell. And we have a music video that is actually going to be premiering very, very soon. It only took me a year, almost a year since the album came out to edit it all. But we'll be coming out with a very belated music video for Necrosexual Encounter, which is the opening track of that album. Yes. And we already have our next EP recorded. That'll be coming here in the spring, I hope. So you heard that here first from the Necrosexual. New EP coming in March or April 2019.
Nice. Yeah, dude, I have to say you're absolutely correct in your summation of like that early thrash black metal thing. That was really huge in the early 80s, and like that's what kind of, I guess, like, like once Black Sabbath was kind of cemented, that's what people started going towards, of that blackened thrash sound. And it's, if you look back on it, at least when I've looked back on it, it's all these bands that put out like one album, two albums, except for like say Venom, and then they just kind of like disappeared. So it was like this sound that nobody could really capitalize on or do anything with for some reason. I always found that really interesting. It's like, man, why did all these bands only put out like one album?
The thrash, the flash that was thrash. But yeah, I mean, that's the case. I mean, or a lot of the cases, they would maybe record other albums, but nothing was quite as popular as the one big album. But it's still very relevant today. I mean, there's a lot of bands on the underground that play that style. So, it never went away. It's just, again, you can listen to the radio and hear all sorts of terrible poser music, just awful music with very little attitude or feeling or originality. And there's just something that in that type of music, it just has a certain attitude. So I try to bring that same attitude and add my own colorful sense of chaos and that old school rock and roll attitude.
So was the one man band thing, like, was that more of like necessity for you, or was it just like that's
at first, I mean, that's all I've always admired people like, like the band Bathory.
Yeah.
It's not quite a one-man band, but Dark Throne is a very minimalist band, but especially I think the big one is Bathory. And so if I came to it, I mean, that would be pretty badass, but the bottom line is my drumming skills never quite caught up. So originally I was trying to play drums on The Lair Where No Light Enters, which was the first song that we recorded, and it didn't quite pan out. So, if I ever get my chops up, I mean, it'd be cool to do an album or to make a music, have that level of control, because it is out of necessity, because it was essentially, a drummer that was, or the lack of one, that was sort of holding everything back. But I think hopefully now the music's out there, it's a little bit easier to keep that idea in motion. Once you have music behind you, it should, in theory, be easier to recruit people should that ever happen again.
I mean, drummers do seem to be the hardest people to keep in bands.
Yes, yeah, for various reasons. They either play in a lot of bands, or they just might explode due to you've seen Spinal Tap. So,
of course.
Bizarre gardening incidents do happen from time to time.
Yeah,
and it's just the way things are.
Yeah, somebody should make like drummer insurance, just in case like grievous bodily harm happens and they just disappear or move to another band. Boom, replaced.
Exactly.
So, convince me that you're not Chris D'Elia, because you kind of look like Chris D'Elia.
That's always an unfortunate comparison, but I do get it. I do get it a lot. I mean, it's no contest, really. It's like looking at a toothpick next to an eggplant, as far as I'm concerned. But with me being the eggplant, the nice muscular,
of course,
but fulfilling and nutrient rich. But people see, ever since my hair grew out, I get that a little bit more. So
yeah, I think that's what did it, man. It's the hair.
Yeah,
it's funny,
it's unfortunate. I mean, if the guy was funny, I wouldn't care as much. But
I mean, you're like the funniest man alive. Like, how can anybody compete?
Right.
Anyways,
I mean,
dude?
Really.
Like, come on.
It's kind of insulting to
compare
one of the world's greatest entertainers and comedians to a much more successful and well-known comedian, and clearly less attractive looking one. So the joke's on them, huh?
Yeah, I mean, you got to leave room for some of the guys,
The important part is I'm not bitter about it.
Yeah. You shouldn't be. I mean, you probably use it for your music anyways, right?
Absolutely. I mean, when I sleep in my my air mattress next to the dirt, I know that I won.
So I guess switching gears here and getting a little more serious, if you will.
Serious.
Serious.
I've been very serious this entire time.
I know. Yeah. But no. So like, really though, with the music, what is like your ultimate goal with it? Because I don't think there's a lot of bands that. How should I word this? I think a lot of bands worry too much about like legit taking everything like a little too serious and not having fun with the music, and it feels like you try to at least have fun with the music and take it seriously at the same time.
Yes.
And it's like a fine line. I get that part of it, but why not have fun with it? I feel like that authenticity goes a lot longer of a way than just like worrying about being true and grim all the time.
I mean, I'm here to raise hell, to terrify posers. Love me or hate me, I hope that you're entertained. But you're paying attention either way, and at the end of the day, I could still shred circles around your favorite little guitar heroes or bass heroes. So I got the walk. I walk the walk and I talk the talk. But I think that the music also speaks for itself, and we're really just getting started. I mean, the first album was it's still very old school, and I think the new album and the new stuff will also be old school. But
yeah,
now that we kind of got the origin story out of the way, those songs were written in a pretty simple punk rock way for a reason. But now that's we've evolved, so there are only going to be more crazy riffs on the way.
So did you record this all like on your own, like in your own little studio, or did you go somewhere else to get it all done?
No, I recorded the Grim One album in a basement in South Philly, which is pretty much the type of brutal aesthetic you would hope for. It's just a dark basement.
Yes.
It was a lot of bands. Outer Heaven just released a single that they recorded for Decibel in that same recording space, and Heavy Temple, Narcos Family Band, just a few of the bands that live in that spot and also make music there. So it's definitely a creative hub in its own sense. But I wanted to capture that do-it-yourself sort of aesthetic, and I think that comes across in the music. And it was a good setting. We got a couple tracks that we also recorded that same spot for the upcoming EP. So I just stick to playing music. I know that there's been a lot of bands that recorded and have the whole making a recording studio out of your Fisher Price voice set. They have that on lock. So I think I try to get that balance between something that sounded raw and also something that sounded loud and clear, because like I told you, I listened to Slayer. So I do like music where we can hear the instruments and hear the nuance, but it also has to sound raw and not sound overproduced. So it's really that sweet spot right in the middle.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, man. One of my favorite things in like listening to a recording, especially if it's something that's chunky, is when I can hear just the fingers moving on the fretboard across the strings.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Black
love
Sabbath
that.
does that well. You can hear the pick kind of, like that. I don't know, like the pick leaning off the strings. It kind of how you can hear it. So it's far out, man.
I mean, dude, there is this like weird, real problem. I guess you could call it a problem, anyways. Like of just bands overproducing and cutting and pasting every little mishap out of a record to making it sound so pristine that it's just like, well, sure, you made a record, but can you really like execute the record?
Did you truly play a record?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and everybody does their magic in the studio sometimes, but it's definitely a difference. I mean, for me, I can tell right away if there's a band that comes out and just sounds just too produced, just too polished for this type of music. I mean, a lot of it sounds best live for a reason. So I was trying to not have that. I was trying to have a sound that sounded raw and sound alive. And I think that as it goes on, again, every time it's a learning experience. On the upcoming EP, the drums are 100% acoustic, so no triggers, and it sounds massive and monstrous. So every time you learn a little bit more, and when you hopefully it pays off, so that the next time with subsequent recordings, you're a little bit wiser for the process and with finding the right mix and the right sound.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, the thing I've learned with like talking to a bunch of people, or like even just doing research for stuff, like when bands first start out recording, it's always this weird learning experience where they're like, the first album was like, okay, we figured out this, and the next one's like, okay, now we figured out this, and then we added it to what we did before, and every record's just kind of like this build-up of all these skills and things that they learn in the studio. And like, what are you kind of like, I guess, keeping an ear or eye out for, when you're in there writing stuff to like learn from the next time you make music?
I mean, it's hard. You just want to make better. For me, I just want to write something that sounds better. I mean, luckily there aren't too many times where a song is written and then you're like, oh, I should have done that. I should have wrote that instead. But I mean, that's kind of inevitable too. So, I mean, you always have 20/20 hindsight, but I think that it's also important to record something in the moment that sounds real. Like sometimes that choice you make in the moment, you capture something. It's like lightning in a bottle, or like Franzia in a bottle, the type of bottle that doesn't go empty because you drink it all. It's just you can capture some amazingly evil moments in time. And again, I'm plugging. You have to forgive me. I'm plugging this upcoming EP a lot, and you haven't even heard it yet.
Go for it. That's part of like you being here is plugging whatever you like.
Yeah, but it's exciting because we have some really evil sounding stuff that just happened out of improv or just kind of by accident. Like I said, happy little accidents. So that'll be cool to share with the world when the time comes. And then, yeah, I mean, and we get new ideas. I mean, in the past, it was a pain in the ass to record with click tracks. We did it for the first album. I'm sure that we have some new songs that'll be click tracks, but we also recorded the majority of the songs off the upcoming EP live, or mostly live. You know, the drums, the lead guitar, and the bass, we were all playing through the songs together with no click track, and I think it sounds killer. You know, it sounds super tight that way.
Yeah.
So, you know, for some bands, you need a drummer, and that just comes down to who you play with, man. We got this dude Mike Chury. We call him the Machine for a reason, because he just give him whatever, he'll plug right in. You know, and there are some drummers that are super meticulous and they need a click track, but I mean, you give him one, he's good. You don't give him one, and you just rock out and jam together, and it's like just as killer. So that's something I think we'll be probably continuing to do in a lot of ways with upcoming albums. Just playing it, having it rehearsed, playing it through live, and it'll sound live because it is live. You know, it has that spontaneity, and it'll still be tight because when I think the three of us play together really, really well. So if when you see us live, which we will continue to tour, you'll see it's not just a fluke on the record. If anything, it probably sounds a little better.
I mean, yeah, that's one of my main things too, is like that dichotomy of like the record versus the live performance. And, you know, like obviously you don't want to phone it in when you're playing live, but I've seen bands that do that because they're like, oh, our record's better, you can go listen to our record. And it's just like, what? Why are you even playing live then? Like, yeah,
there's definitely, I think, in a lot of American bands, there's a lost art to being showmanship, just showmanship and entertaining. And again, that's why I'm here. I'm here to be a new rock and roll hero, baby. Show these wimps how it's really done.
So, how long have you been working on this EP? Just like since the last record, or? Yeah,
I mean, it's pretty fun how quickly it's come along. Like I said, we're putting the finishing touches on it, hopefully this weekend. But it was really just 2 sessions. It was over the course of 2 days. You know, I think it was the second or third weekend in October. You know, this October.
Nice.
And we went in one day. We did all the live songs, so that was 4 songs in one session. And then the next day, we did 1 studio song, or maybe vice versa. So we knocked it all out in essentially two sessions, minus a couple, follow-up sessions for vocals or for overlaps. So yeah, it was also cool to see it come together so quickly. It gives me, we've written new music, but we don't have necessarily the entire new album caught up to speed yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is a good way to just keep the fire going, give people some new songs. We re-recorded some old classics. We have a cover of Black Widow that we're excited to share. So some 70s satanic rock and roll. So it was cool to do it so quickly.
Yeah, I always think that's a good idea, and more bands should be doing that, is like putting out just a small EP in between records. I mean, especially these days with how quickly people just are over something, there's no longevity anymore.
Yeah, unfortunately, right? Just keep churning that butter.
Yeah, it sucks, man, because I remember growing up myself, like I would listen to the same records for like years. I mean, I'm still doing that. Yeah, no, for real. But like, I don't know. It's like this weird thing. Maybe it's just because I'm older. Like anytime a new record comes out, I listen to it for a pretty long time.
Yeah.
Like don't get me wrong, I'll get bored of stuff, but I don't know. Just when I was younger, I like. What's a record I bought a whole bunch of times? Black Dahlia Murder's Unhollowed. I probably had to buy that record like 4 or 5 times because I just listened to it so much when I was like 13, 12. I don't know how old I was.
Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, nowadays you can't really buy records. I mean, you can, but nobody does.
Yeah, it's I mean, I still enjoy buying records and CDs. It's a little bit disheartening nowadays with cars. They don't even have CD players anymore.
Yeah.
But I've always enjoyed CDs. I just have one less medium to play them now. So there's that. But yeah, I mean, luckily I'm the type of person. It took a while. Like I said, I would have liked to have started this music thing a lot earlier, but things happen for a reason. But now that those wheels are in motion, I mean, I want to continue I want to just continue staying busy. The harder you work, the luckier you get, the more you eat. I believe somebody, Louis Armstrong, might have said, or Miles Davis, I don't know, somebody, but it's just one of those things. And luckily, I'm the type of person where I can't sit still for too long. So I just want to keep cranking out those heavy riffs until I've taken over the world.
I mean, it's good that you at least, you like really have that passion and drive for it. Because I think a lot of people, especially newer bands, like, I don't know, I think some of them, at least in my experiences, like they're too worried about like blowing up immediately and not like trying to build up.
We can't all be Jared Threaten, all right?
Yeah, no, of course, the greatest musician in the world. I'm sorry, Mr. Necrosexual. You'll get there one day, I swear.
Yeah.
Maybe you should get him in your band, like join forces.
Oh boy, that would be a truly unholy alliance. But if there's somebody who likes get rich quick schemes, it's this guy.
Oh man. So, on a real note now, how did this all start with like the Necrosexual stuff? Like, how long ago did it start? Where did you get the idea for it?
Yeah.
And just
well, I told you, I was simply just born this way.
You were born, okay.
But I believe it was 2011 that basically, this butterfly of doom blossomed on stage, at least, after being incubating in various capacities, in my inner self and just also in private. So it just felt right. It was just the right time to unveil it. And it took a while. There were always growing pains and finding ways to evolve. But I think that the attitude and the voice has mostly been there since the beginning. And I've just learned to use that voice louder as it goes on and find, like I said, find new avenues towards, necromania.
No, I get it, man. That's one thing that is really unique about what you do. Like, you talk about having that voice. Well, you definitely have it because there's nobody else out there like doing anything like that. And I think that goes a long way because, who dresses up in corpse paint and 80s style, or excuse me, you don't dress up. That is your actual face. Sorry.
Right.
Sorry.
Yes.
Who has a face like that
Right.
and goes out and talks to musicians?
Yes.
Nobody.
Right.
Nobody. Just you.
Yeah. It's it's lonely at the top, but it's a grim task that I'm the man for the job.
I've seen some people try to rip you off. You got what is it, like After Late Night or whatever it's called?
Yes.
Something.
Yeah. Well, they say imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. So,
yeah.
But before every. Behind everything that's somewhat popular and well-known, there's something that's more underground and less popular and lower budget that was definitely around first, and that is certainly what the Necrosexual's lair is. And I also did a live, I had a late night show, so, I'm flattered to see, people get on my shtick. Not that it's a shtick, but it is what it is, and flattery is the most sincere, or imitation is the most sincere form of flattery, and like I said, the important part is that I'm living my grimmest life, and I'm totally not bitter about it in any way.
I mean, you're making it your own. That's what matters more than anything. Yeah, it's I gotta admit that it's like a very niche thing. Obviously, just liking metal in general, we all know that. But to like put yourself out there the way you do, I mean, it's kind of inspiring to say the least. It takes a lot of balls to do that.
And I'm a man with a lot of balls,
Yeah.
In many ways, and definitely the most physical sense of it. But yeah, it's like, you gotta fly to the stratosphere.
Yeah.
You gotta not go so far up in the stratosphere that you start seeing Macho Man, come towards the light. Just come towards the light. If you see Macho Man, you gotta go down a little bit. Don't go towards Macho Man, but find your own little pocket of the stratosphere, where you're still close enough to Earth that you're not dead, and put on a show for anybody that's willing to watch and be horrified.
Well, I think you do that pretty well. I want to thank you for your time, because
yes, thank you.
I have no more sexual questions for you.
Yes,
unfortunately.
Well, all good things must come to an end.
Yeah, I don't. Sometimes like I'll drag them out longer, but I think people get bored after like an hour, so I typically try to keep it around an hour.
Yeah.
But that's just, I don't know. I'm one of those weird Joe Rogan guys that'll listen to like a 4-hour podcast and then be like, "Damn, I just learned so much shit."
That I'm going to forget in 48 hours.
Of course. You ever do DMT, man?
Here we go again.
But no, seriously, man. Thank you for doing this, and let people know where they can find you. Obviously, I'll link to all that stuff. More about the EP, maybe, when they can like get ready for that, prepare their anuses. Indeed.
Yes, indeed. This has been another transmission featuring the most electrifying man in co-op entertainment, the Necrosexual. And I implore you all to visit necrosexual.bandcamp.com. You can hear my new album, Grim One. You can hear my upcoming EP coming very, very soon. And I'll also be premiering maybe by the time this podcast is out, Dustin. We don't know. Depends on how much, it depends on how much coffee I drink between now and then. But I will have a video emerging very, very, very soon on YouTube and on my YouTube channel. So keep your eyes peeled.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I'll probably put this up on Monday.
Okay,
so
well, maybe
soon.
not by Monday.
Yeah, maybe not by Monday.
We'll see.
Oh, man. Dude, that's awesome. Seriously, thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Yes, thank you.
I want to try and sign out. Sorry, what?
I'll let you do your job.
Oh, I was going to say, I want to try and sign out by doing my best necrosexual call for you.
Oh boy. All right, here we go.
Thank you so much, Mr. Necrosexual, for coming on the show.
Not bad.
Not bad?
Not
okay.
bad, kid. Keep at it.
Cool. Thank you.
This is a war, and I'm coming for you. I'll rip out your heart, and I'll spill my seed all over your face. Then I'll smoke on your weed. Necrosexual encounters. Prepare to die by the necrosexual. Evil powers of pain, madness, affecting your brain. Sorcery, landing from above. Sacrifice, I drink your blood. Grip to the finish. Your soul tastes delicious. I'll feast on your fears and get drunk on your tears. I'm packing the hammer to cram down your throat. I'll celebrate with an orgy at your funeral. Necrosexual encounters. Prepare